So I'm absolutely beat the fuck up after 2 weeks of surfing in Indonesia. I have a horrible sunburn on my back. I have sliced up both of my feet, and it actually became infected, which was a horrible way to start a 7-hour flight to Seoul. And it's a good thing I was pretty nauseous for the first half of the flight because it actually helped knock me out so I could ignore my discomfort. So we finally make it to Seoul, not in one piece, but in two pieces, because the other piece is the entire layer of skin on my back, which I shed in Indonesia. But the heart and the spirit are full, so we carry on. Because after 2 weeks on my own, I will be meeting up with my friends. So these are actually people that I know, and it should be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to eating something that's not rice and having like an indoor toilet and amenities after spending 2 weeks on an island. So the first thing we do is hit the alleys after dinner and get some soju from a 7-Eleven that's cheaper than water. And then we stumbled upon a punching machine just chilling there, so we spent the next 30 minutes comparing punches on the punching machine. And I think we actually came back almost every single day after to give it some more punches. But yeah, didn't expect to spend this much time at an arcade, but absolutely zero regrets. It was a lot of fun. And just to memorialize it forever, I was the only one who was able to set a high score. Outside of throwing hands with the machine, we visited a bunch of coffee shops and bakeries for desserts. And of course we did what everyone comes to Seoul to do, which can pretty much be summarized as treat yourself. One of the things we did was a color analysis, which shows you the shades and colors that you should be wearing to looks max. And as a guy, like most other guys who wears only black and white, it was a pretty daunting task to redo the wardrobe with different colors. And we also did a skin analysis where they zoomed into the craters on your face, made you feel bad about yourself, and recommended different types of products that you should be using. I also got a haircut, and in other words, I fixed the mop on my head. I was getting a lot of shit about the mop on my head for a very long time, but I finally fixed it. I had to trust the process. So 1 week of eating, drinking, and shopping later, we're off to Japan to do the exact same thing. I made the mistake of asking people if they wanted anything from Korea, so of course we were rating all of Young's, and we were precariously over the weight limit on our bags. So if not for a very nice airline employee, all of the shit that we accumulated over the past week would not have made it with us to Japan and back home. We were all pretty hyped to have found another punching machine in the arcade, but none of us were able to actually win a single item from a claw machine. It was already unmanageable at this point, but I continued to add to my ever-growing haul at the Uniqlo flagship store. And before going out later that night, we met up with a friend who was staying at the Amman Tokyo, which is the nicest hotel I've ever been to. I was pretty excited to see these Japanese salarymen in the wild after following accounts like Shibuya Meltdown and hearing stories about it for years. I was actually pleasantly shocked by the clubs in Tokyo when we went out because they were like Vegas light in terms of production, so they kind of reminded me of Amiya and Hakkasan. So we ended up going to Warp, Atom, and the newest club in Tokyo, which is Zero. And I remember thinking to myself over the thumping music, like, damn, why can't clubs in the US be like this? We did run into a bit of a language barrier when we were ordering drinks because the bartender poured us the entire bottle when she thought that we meant 25 drinks, but we were only motioning a 2 and a 5 for 7 drinks. So after that, we were very nearly featured on Shibuya Meltdown, but we did get to see Shibuya Crossing at its emptiest because we stayed up so late that it was morning and the sun was rising. And I was pretty nauseous again the next morning when we were supposed to do conveyor belt sushi, so I had to wait a bit. But on that topic, Japanese food is my favorite cuisine, bar none. I had a friend in Japan who's able to get us into one of the most famous tempura spots in Tokyo, when usually there's going to be an hour-long wait at least. My friends had mostly left by this point, so I was getting some alone time in Tokyo. So I spent the rest of my days there eating, exploring, going to arcades, going to cafes, going to a Samoyed cafe, and buying an extra bag at Don Quixote because I just had way too much shit. So after 4 weeks, we have one more stop after Japan, and it's going to be Taiwan. And I didn't expect to find myself back there so soon, especially since my first time ever going was earlier this year for New Year's. But it'll be fine. My Chinese is good enough for Chinese-speaking people to realize that they need to speak to me in English. And it was crazy because every conversation would start in Chinese, and I would start in Chinese, and by the end we were both speaking English. And I'm just like, damn, how did you guys know? I promise I was doing my best. It was painfully obvious to me at this point that I needed to begin shipping some things home because all the stuff that I had bought and other people asked for had far exceeded the weight limit when I was flying from Japan to Taiwan, so that was a huge tax to pay for my 4 bags. And at this time of year, there aren't too many tourists in Taiwan, so I was able to get reservations and see a lot of places that are hard to see or usually packed like sardines. And these would be things anywhere between night markets and a fish market and Din Tai Fung, or this really famous egg roll pastry thing. I had let go a long time ago. When you're in Asia, you just have to accept that you're going to become a bit fluffier in every aspect. So for the rest of my days here, until I decided it was time to pack up, face reality, and head back to the United States, I was eating good. I didn't expect to find myself back in Asia so soon, but every time I'm leaving, I feel like I'll be back even sooner. But just for vacation, of course. And that's it. That's pretty much it. We're up to date in the meta now. And I hope it won't be as long before I make another post. But these are really just a way for myself to remember all the cool things that I've done and all the places I've been and all the people that I've met in the past few years. I'm genuinely excited for all of the people, places, and things, known or unknown, that I'll be lucky enough to come across in the next year. I'm really just here trying to enjoy the journey, but it can't come soon enough. Salute.